Welcome back to Easy Expert Challenges. Thanks for sticking with me while I'm recovering from my extended hospital stay and talking about Monster Train from the perspective of a player who is experienced hours-wise, but more than a little scrubby still, as I talk about the front-loading optimization of expert challenges. I'm JC Locke, in case you didn't know or missed Sandshrew up in my profile, and today we'll be doing the challenge which I suspect most players fresh out of Unlocking Covenant 25 attempt first, homework. It was certainly my first, and if the experience of these players was anything like mine, they became mentally exhausted sometime around Ring 5, and their ability to play smartly quickly began to plummet. When you play for so long with the combat previews, you don't realize just how many variables there are to consider in these calculations. It's one of the reasons the game is so great. I'm an accountant outside of YouTube and certainly not afraid of numbers, but the mental taxation it threw on me was incredible. Therefore, I am approaching this video with a stated objective: do as little math as possible to win. Before I go into that, however, I have a special announcement. For those of us who are hearing impaired and rely upon subtitles and captions, particularly automatically generated captions, we kind of live in a slightly different reality than the rest of the world. By far and away, the most consistently mistranslated card in Monster Train is the Noble Draph, which the software responsible for translating audio to text envisions as some sort of multi-striking burnout giraffe. It's the kind of thing that gets stuck in your head when you see it over and over. The ones I've seen most often are definitely Giraffe, Greg down there, and the random drug morsel. The rest I've seen once or twice, but they all manage to worm your way into your brain. So don't be surprised if you hear me utter any of the phrases that are listed on this page. It's not nerves, well, not just nerves, but a series of twisted wires in my brain brought to you courtesy of the auto caption feature. With that out of the way, let's return to the optimization plan. I plan to front-load the classic, nigh-brainless rat trap build. I will be using Exile Awoken and Default Remnant in this build, preferring Dregs because they play for free and don't get redrawn. They can also provide meat wall services in the early game before the build is complete. Until the end of Ring 3, we won't have the space to build our traps, so they should fill the hole nicely. The optimized build has 3 components: Strangler Wildington, a carry unit requiring only 2 space, and optimally an Endless Burnout 1 Molten Encasement. Yes, let me stop right here. I'm going to call him Wildington. You can blame all the fantasy literature I read in my youth that loved spelling the word wild with a Y. The build's objective is simple: root down enemies on a single floor so they can't advance, stack so many layers of stealth the enemies will never hit you, and kill fast enough to ensure that more than 7 enemies never hit the floor. It can be a bit hard to set up sometimes, particularly in the early game, but once all the pieces are in place, it's completely brainless with little thought required, outside of a few exceptions, like Dazed Talos and Seraph, who can stop Wildington from rooting enemies. All you have to do, really, is hide behind your rock forever and keep shooting the enemies until they're dead. Optimal artifact for the setup is Votive Key, which allows you to have an endless molten encasements from the start. If, however, you are up against Seraph the Chaste, or just want maximum peace of mind, then Waxer Snuffer is the pick. A self-infused molten encasement with Waxer Snuffer will bestow 8 stacks of stealth every extinguish, so as long as floors don't overstack, it will be of great benefit to overcome subpar scaling, particularly during Relentless. Since we want to think as little as possible on this run, Waxer Snuffer it is. Let's talk briefly about Strangler Wildington while we view the glory that is the logbook switch interface. Excuse me, sir, I said X, thank you. Strangler Wildington is good for exactly 1 level and then gains practically nothing after that. He ends up with the second highest attack and HP of the 3 Wildingtons, neither of which he actually needs if he's doing his one job: a utility unit rooting enemies indefinitely. It's much better for him to gain a secondary ability and end up with the second and third highest stats. Thankfully, both pivot options here are excellent. My personal preference is Thornlord. 3 stings, turn 1, greatly accelerates the Root Seed's draw engine, and the increased HP pool lets him effectively tank in case you bottom deck Molten Encasement, but there is certainly nothing wrong with Predator. Having Quick also helps protect the carry if the Stealth Tomb shows up late, and the double striking sweep can help clear Divinity backlines the carry may not reach if not a sweeper themselves. I'm happy enough with either, and will take whichever pivot I get on Ring 4. This is one of the runs I did in the hospital and saved for future commentary. I remember practically nothing about it because it is so brainless I actually fell asleep twice doing it. So my commentary on it will likely be very stream of consciousness and fresh in the moment. Not like I'm playing it completely new, but perhaps replaying in my head a very distant memory. Some reminders about this series. I am a dirty amateur recording with level 1 peasant equipment. I play on the Switch with all the baggage that entails, and am trapped in a body in physical recovery, including my voice. So please bear with me during these trying times. And now, it's time to not do math homework. Our reroll plan has 3 components. The first is Molten Encasement. The second is either Waxer Snuffer or Votive Key, depending on how much peace of mind you want. And then finally, Strangler Wildington. Let's take a... that's not the map. Let's take a brief look at the map real quick. Oh, okay. This one's a doozy. We are going to have to actually earn this one. This is not going to be a simple, clean run. Let me tell you why. There's Daze Talos. If Daze Talos hits Wildington, then Wildington will not root the floor and the floor will pass. So we need to be absolutely sure that our meat wall survives when Talos comes up top and hits Wildington. There's only one concern with this particular Archus, the Daze Shard. We absolutely cannot drop our Molten Encasement on the same turn he drops Daze Shard. If we do, the entire floor will go by. And then finally, Sap Seraph. All we have to do here is to monitor Wildington, make sure that his attack doesn't hit 0. So we need to keep feeding him a little bit of scaling in order to make sure that he is still doing his job as a root machine. Let's talk about this Divine Horde here. Optimally, we would like to take on 50 shards early, 25 for the infusion on Ring 3, 25 on Ring 4. I'm not particularly keen on going up to 65 shards that early, so I think we are going to chill on this Divine Horde. So once we have our 50 shards here, what are we looking at? Temple, Horde, Temple, Horde? Wow, 3 hordes. Yes, I now have no desire to take this opening horde. Yeah, we're the one thing we don't have to worry about on this run is shards. Okay, let's get to it. I definitely want a unit draft, and I'm really glad we didn't take the shards. Adding damage to enemies really doesn't matter if they're never going to hit us, but we're at the stage of the game where we could easily bottom deck Molten Encasement, which we didn't. So opening hand means we get to play bottom floor. Note how we just gained Stealth 2 twice. That is entirely a function of Waxer Snuffer. I'm going to Glimmer up top for money. Glimmer down bottom for spite. Play out a couple dredges, even though we're not going to redraw our deck. It's good practice. Play our second Molten Encasement, Root Seeds. Alright, put a Dreg behind Wildington for value. He will also gain benefit of the stealth for the 2 turns he gets to live. And we should absolutely crush this boss. And we do. No math required. As promised. Not in love with anything I see here. Sharpen is basically 2 Ember for 4 damage because spikes will never come into play with stealth. Sting is always good. I don't see it particularly useful, at least yet, for us. Steel Enhancer is some early game scaling, and it gives us a countermeasure to the HP drain that comes from Razor Sharp Edge if we get that next ring. So, Steel Enhancer it is. If we had Burnout Extension in our starter, Draft would be a good choice for a potential multi-strike on our sweeper. But we don't, so we take a pass there. We don't need another Molten Encasement. We already have 2, one of which is perfect. And Hallow Drippings is purely speculative at this point, especially given that it consumes and only fires once. I pretty much see it as only clogging our deck for now, so we skip. Animus Speed, not helpful to us. Quick, Quick's good, but it's a lot less valuable when Stealth comes into play. Shattered Shell, Wickless Baron, either fine units here for what we're trying to do. In the end, it's going to come down to personal preference. I know sweepers, I know their strengths, weaknesses, and how to keep them alive. So I will optimize my chances of victory by playing to my own strengths and choosing Shattered Shell. Onward to Ring 2. Fat Stone and nothing. Now we can re-roll on account of we have the boons over here. Let's see what's in the Awoken bin. Sweepers for days, huh? I don't like the self-infused Shattered Shell if I can avoid it. If I'm going for a scaling infusion, I want to diversify the type of scaling that I get. So I skip here. Well, let me double check. How many more banner units are we going to see? I'm probably going to swing left here, so that's another Awoken banner. Probably going to swing by Merchant of Steel here. That's a Remnant banner, and of course we have Talos. So, yeah, I'm going to see enough banner units that I don't think it's worth taking on Shattered Shell here. So we skip. Okay, let's re-roll, see what we get. Yes, I want everything. Let's go to the bank. Make a withdrawal. 10 shards, very well spent here. Let's make our Molten Encasement perfect. Then we're going to give Shattered Shell 25 health because spikes exist. Yeah, that was a really good ring for us. Spikes 3, no thank you. And I have absolutely no need for the money because there's nothing to spend it on next ring. Yeah, we definitely skip here. From this point forward, until we see and defeat Talos, we have to play 2 floors. So what we're going to do, Wildington here is our defensive specialist. Shattered Shell is our Harrier. He's going to try and get some kills on mid. And do a little bit of scaling. Play out these cards even though we're very unlikely to draw through our deck here. As a matter of fact, we can't. I wish you had showed up next turn. Alright, I'm going to do just the slightest bit of math. I'm going to hit 2 spikes. I can live with that for the 2 kills. Yeah. I could Glimmer and save myself a whole lot of damage, but I do want Shattered Shell to actually hit the boss a couple times. Assuming I ever draw my Molten Encasement. So at this point, I think I'm just going to take the card draw and play the Focus Growth. Here's our molten encasement. This turn, we're going to play it mid. The next turn, we're going to start playing it top exclusively. We're counting on Wildington here for Relentless, so we're going to put our scaling into him for now. So here's how we're going to double up on the stealth here. We're going to drop one Molten Encasement, let the Forged Disciple kill it off, and then the second encasement's going to get stealth, but then it's going to burn out. Put a Root Seeds into Wildington. And move along with our day. Yep. She was rooted. Nothing to worry about. More stealth for Wildington. Do some damage mid. Do a lot more damage than I expected mid, admittedly. Yeah, this is going to be a lot easier, but because this is going to be... I can already tell we're crushing it, but I refuse to do math on this run, so let's treat it like we're still life and death. And look at that. We needn't have worried. No razor sharp edge. These all look very familiar. I want none of these right now. There's Wicklash. Okay, we have scaling now. There's an issue. We can't play it just yet because we have no burnout extension and we have no more common packs. So, solutions are, ideally, we'll probably get holdover on Wicklash and duplicate it. Or we find a burnout extension solution later on. One that is not going to interfere with our burnout one plan on our molten encasement. So I think Wicklash is a very good pickup here. Swinging down. We are about to pick up 50 shards and go up to 60 in the next two rings, so I only want to pick up extra shards here if it dramatically increases our chances of victory. I do not see either Intrinsic or Spell Chain doing that now, so let's just go ahead, make our sacrifice, and solve our first piece of the puzzle. Peek. Well, we can't really peek in a hell vent. Let's take a look at the banner. Animus of Will. Okay, here is our worst case scenario. We're going to see 2 units after Animus, but the worst case we get is the -15 of multi-strike, and that I will take all day, every day. Let's look in the caverns. Or, yeah, we can just solve our Wicklash problem at once. Presto Changeo, we got 6 Wicklashes now. Abracadabra, we got 7. Our odds of burning out now are really quite low. We still have to exercise caution, but we are now in a very good position, especially going up against Talos. As a reminder, we will have to be mindful of Talos' days hitting Wildington and letting floors escape. Now, we have an interesting scenario here. We are playing 2 floors. So we once again go to our defensive and Harrier floors. The issue is going to be this. If we spread out our Wicklashes, our 7 Wicklash scaling plan, between 2 units, we run the risk of Wildington burning out during Relentless. Wildington is carrying us here, so he will get all of the scaling. Now, let me take a quick look at our deck here. What are the odds we don't draw a Wicklash in 2 turns? Non-zero, so I think the best play here is to just wait a turn and double Root Seeds. Okay, I don't want my Shattered Shell dazed here, so we'll give him the first bit of stealth. I think this is the part where we begin our burnout scaling. Perfect timing. Begin stealthing up Wildington. Scale and extend. Root Seeds. He's still got 6 stealth. That'll last him up until Relentless, so we stack as hard as we can on Wildington. Oh, hello, hasty boy. Is that going to be a problem? 4, 5, 6. We kill here? No. That's not going to be a problem. Poor Dreg didn't have stealth. He got wrecked. Nobody's taking damage. Focus growth doesn't do much for us. At this point, Wildington does almost a little under 3 times the damage the Shattered Shell does, so... Oh, now he does more. So we continue to give him the stealth, and we should be able to absolutely crush Talos during Relentless. Especially with one more turn of burnout extension here. Once again, I'm not going to do the math to find out if we have the win or not. As fun as dropping Animus here would be, we stick to the plan. Just eyeballing it, that's what, 4 hits? Yeah. We never had a thing to worry about. Okay, Wax and Spike is a no-go. I'm not going to play with Burnout on Wildington. Adaptive Mutation doesn't do anything for us, and I do not want Spreading Spores, so we skip the rare pack. And Big Sludge is a no-go because of the extra space requirement, and neither of these are better than Animus of Will, so we skip. We take space here, and our Rat Trap build is complete. Swing right, peek in Magic Shop. Yet another Fat Stone. Let's see what our pivot is. It looks like it's Predator. So, you know, despite 2 Animus of Speeds, we get quick anyway. What's in our Remnant banner? Okay. Wow. That is amazing. Here's the problem, though. Let's stop for a moment to talk about one of my favorite things in accounting, risk analysis. Paraffin Enforcer adds a condition to our deck's operation, and that condition is we have to find Wicklash in the first 2 turns or we lose our carry unit. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop the recording briefly. I'm going to do some quick math to actually find out what our risk there is, and then we're going to make a decision between Paraffin Enforcer and Animus of Will. Okay, I'm back. We are about to purge down to 29 cards. Absolute worst case scenario. We draw 4 cards turn 1, 5 cards turn 2 for a total of 9 cards. The odds of us not drawing a single Wicklash in those 9 cards is a pretty much even 5%, 1 out of 20. I have played enough tabletop RPGs to know what a Nat 1 looks like. The odds are low, but they must be respected. I think I'm willing to go a ring or 2 rolling that 20-sided die. So I think I'm taking Paraffin Enforcer here, but let's talk long-term risk management strategy. How do we alleviate this risk? Endless on Paraffin Enforcer does it. That gives us an extra good hit at the steel shop. Intrinsic on a Wicklash does it. That guarantees we draw the Wicklash opening hand. And that's all I can come up with at the moment. So I think the play here is to take the Paraffin Enforcer, knowing that we're taking on the increased risk because, to be perfectly frank, his infusion is strictly superior to Animus of Will. So I think final decision here, we take the Paraffin Enforcer. Animus of Will, we are sorry to see you go, but sometimes the perfect candidate simply walks into your office. What am I doing about this focus growth? I want, I think, to put a permafrost -1 on it so that I can recover from spike rounds. So we keep that. We don't purge it. I think at this point we just start moving train stewards as our next priority. Magic power is not worth taking on right here. We're about to go to 60. And this is going to be amazing. Okay. Yeah, let's go not roll a nat 1. And like I said before, it doesn't matter how hard you hit if you don't actually make contact. Let me make absolutely sure that I'm... Hasty boys bother me a bit. But I have quick as a countermeasure. So yes, we take the trial here. No Wicklash opening hand, not entirely unexpected. Okay, now we see. Statistics, bludgeons, dark alleys. We rolled the nat 1. So this is not the worst ring for this to have happened. At this point, we simply just go back one more ring of relying on Wildington. Do note that Shattered Shell is going to burn out here, and the indicator is gone for that because of the challenge, so keep that in mind if you go a similar burnout path in your attempt. Let's put a drag down here for money. Shattered Shell. Poor unlucky Shattered Shell. actually pretty rough. I don't know. I somehow feel personally offended that happened after I spent all that time calculating the odds and knowing how low they actually were. But that's the game. Anything special you need to know about on bottom floor? Well, he's hasty, and there's frick all I can do about that. Do I want to draw more cards, or do I want to... No, I think we stick with the scaling and burnout. I don't know how many rounds of burnout I'm going to need. So, we continue to play as though the stake of the world depends on it. Press the Y button and hope. All's well that ends okay. Friggin' that one. Nothing here helps us. We skip. Well, now, hello, Wicked Blaze. That is a countermeasure to another to another Nat 1. But it's also another spell for permafrost. I'm not going to be able to permafrost both. It at least does provide a little bit of innate scaling on its own. But after what just happened, yeah, I've become a lot more risk averse. So let's go ahead and take the Wicked Blaze so that we can tutor for our carry unit if we end up losing him again. That was rough. Ooh-wee. I believe I would not like to hit another Merchant of Steel this entire run, so I might swing left, even though my removals are on the right. Yeah, removals on the right with Merchant of Magic, removals on the right with Merchant of Magic. Removal on the right with Merchant of Magic. Removal on the right with Merchant of Magic. So yeah, this is our last chance to see a steel shop. We get whatever we get here. There's two good hits. There's Endless. There's Multi-Strike. So yeah, we definitely swing left here. Quick shard check. We're at 60. We're going to 75 here, 90 here. So we just need 10 out of a temple somewhere. Show me intrinsic. That would be perfect. No. Unfortunately, what I want to purge is not spells, it's units. So that doesn't help us. Alright, we'll pick up our last 10 in the final temple one way or another. Peek in the steel shop. Fat Stone yet again, that's... Wow, okay. Do I want to reroll or do I want to look at the cavern first? I want to reroll first. Yeah, especially if cavern gives us a chance to overstack. So we reroll. There's Endless. Now that right there is just funny. I would consider it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Problem with Endless, though, is it completely and totally resets all our rage. But we're not going to have much built up at that point if we die on round 2. So, yeah, I think this is still good. between infused scaling and Wicklashes, we will have more than enough scaling to catch up if that happens. What that means, however, is I have a spell I no longer need. We're sorry to let you go, Wicked Blaze, but sometimes the perfect candidate just enters your office. What's in the caverns? Well, now. Behold, once again, the glory that is the Switch logbook. Wait a minute, before I do that. Hellhorned, Woken, and Melting Remnant, okay. Good news is I've searched for this so many times that it's first hit. Alright, what do we like here? Armor is useless to us. We're on the stealth plan. One Horn's Tome is certainly not it. Last Stand is funny, but not particularly useful to us. Woken Rail Spike, always a good time. I could dig Pyrogrow. So Rail Spike and Pyrogrow on Awoken. What about Remnant? Nothing on Remnant. So, yeah, the choice here... There's not a whole lot of good hits, but the choice here is Awoken, I think. But that's a no. Just take some money. Okay, we'll do it again. That's not the worst, but I really, really, really don't want to be clogging up my Wicklash draws at this point. Nat 1 and everything. So, we skip here. Take a little bit more money. Oh, we get them all. Once again, Hallow Drippings, useful to us, but we've already solved our second turn burnout problem. So we'll just take a little bit more money. All right, double check, make sure we've done everything we're going to do here. We have. Here we go. Armor 15 doesn't press me unless we roll yet another Nat 1. At this point, it's slightly higher odds than that, but I'm not going to recalculate it because we have more cards in our deck than... One more card in our deck now than we did when I made my initial calculations. I'm definitely going to want money for next ring, so we're going to go ahead and take the trial. And if luck is just that hard against us, so be it. Alright, Stealth Boys means we set up on top. I'm already being laughed at here, but I'm not going to sweat it. I'm just going to have faith in the heart of the dice. Yeah, there we go. Not a chance of that happening. A roughly 5% chance of that happening a second time because each sequence is independent. Look up the Gambler's Fallacy if you're unfamiliar. Yeah, can't get the Collector. But we took the trial, we're getting money from that. No worries. From here, it's just plug and play. can already start to see a little bit of the switch lag. Okay, I will take the opportunity to purge my Wicked Blaze here. And I'll take the opportunity to draw some more cards. Don't know if we have the kill because we're not going to do the math. But our chances are maximized with double Wicklash and not a Glimmer. Certainly not a Root Seeds. Pyrogrow is tempting. But I absolutely do not want to see it opening hand. So we skip. Don't need Daze when you have Stealth. We skip here. Let's see what we get in our Divine Horde. Cheater's Hand. Yes, I want more draw. So, it's kind of funny. Cheater's Hand is one of those artifacts that's better for me than most people because it forces me to slow down my play. But it's just an excellent source of card draw here. We continue purging Trained Stewards. Remove Consume, eh? Nothing. So now, here's the big question. Do we make our Root Seeds free, or do we make our Wicklashes free? Free Root Seeds is the default assumption, but I want to be able to make sure I can play Wicklashes on turns where I get Ember Drained. We will have 3 units on that floor. So I think the play is to start making Wicklashes free. And we can just pay for Root Seeds. Rerolling. Alright, there is my Permafrost to -1 I wanted for my Focus Growth. Happy days there. How many more removals I got? 2, 4, and whatever I buy. Spending money at Merchant of Magic and Merchant of Trinkets coming up. Definitely would not mind a holdover on a free Wicklash. Do I have any Train Stewards remaining? I didn't even look. Alright, let's go ahead and pay to remove that final Train Steward. Alright, Archus. As a reminder, do not play Molten Encasement on a Daze Shard. Let's see, I'm not going to be able to play everything. I want to play both Wicklashes, I want to play Paraffin Enforcer, so we send back a Root Seeds. Looking good. Daze Shard, of course, setting up on top. Alright, so our carry unit must be the last unit we play. So Wildenton first. Shattered shell. Scaling, scaling, scaling. I have 2 Ember this turn. That's 1. That's 2. And I would like to discard that Glimmer, so we'll hold back a Root Seeds. Alright, math. Which I promise not to do, but you can't get through Monster Train without a little bit of math. I have 3 Ember. 1, 2... I guess 3. Okay. Incant Shard? Incant Shard. Send back a Root Seeds. Double checking. Yep. So, we play no spells on top. It's fine. We'll play at our Dreg. Root Seeds him so we can draw a card. And I guess just stick a Glimmer into these guys. One, 2, 3. I want to hold the... well, I can send back the Focus Growth, actually. It'll still be permafrosted when I get it back. Sure. Now let me play out everything in my hand. Huh. That's what I get for not doing math. Oh well. I have plenty of Whiplashes where that came from. Two, 3. I want to discard the Glimmer. So we send back the Focus Growth again. I keep forgetting the cost of the Molten Encasement in my calculations. I have no idea why. I just do. Maybe I'm still a little on tilt from that Nat 1, literally after I did all that math. 1, 2, 3. We send back a Root Seeds. Wait, what shard are you? Dazed. Ha 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 ha. I almost let that entire floor go up. So what we're going to do is we're gonna keep you on standby here. Let you burn out and get reformed. Put a Root Seed into use so that we can draw next turn. And Glimmer you because I can. Always check your shards, kids. Hold back a Wicklash because we can't play all the Wicklashes in our hand. Can't play them all, so hold one back. So I know I promised a truly mindless run that put me to sleep twice when I played it in the hospital. But this is a somewhat unforgiving series of 3 bosses for this build. So you do still have to play carefully. I just don't want you to spend your mental energy on combat math. This is relentless, so I'm just going to chuck a dead weight and make my final decisions here. 34 stealth. Let's make no assumptions. Press the Y button and hope we didn't scrub it up somehow. That is the end of Archus. You think I won't take Cycle of Life here? As much as I want to, you're right. If it were 2 instead of 3, I'd snap it. But we have more cards than we have the capability to play. So a Cycle of Life just makes us far less consistent. We skip here. And we definitely want draw. Alright. Let us pick up our Predator 2. Yeah, I've become very risk-averse here. I'm looking at all the angles. We're going to hit 100, so we only take shards here if it makes sense. And there's Intrinsic. Yeah. Endless was now kind of a waste now that we've seen Intrinsic, but we didn't know we were going to see Intrinsic. So let's just take the best of all worlds. Wilt Wings and the Divinity fight are still a thing that may take out our carry unit, so Endless is just fine. Removals here. Oh, you know what I should have done? I should have Intrinsic to the Glimmer for the damage shield wave of Divinity. But too little too late now. So I think at this point our play is to get rid of our 2 Glimmers. Go down to 24 cards. Double stack does nothing for us. Keep making Whiplashes free. Holdover. You know what? I do not mind if I do. I'm not in a hurry to purge those dregs, so whatever money I have left over at the end will be spent on getting rid of them. Alrighty. Who is Seraph's bodyguard today? Okay. It's a lot of health, but I think we easily scale to meet that. Purifiers. We have Ember issues, so I would rather deal with that as early as possible. I like money here, don't get me wrong, but taking on this trial means we have 0 chance of setting up bottom, which I kind of want to do. I think with our deck composition, the way it is right now, taking on this trial, is riskier than I think 400 gold is reward. So I'm probably going to go ahead and skip here. We don't have our full setup. We are, however, quick. So let's take a look at this bottom floor. We automatically kill the purifier. We root the guy I can't see because switch interface. I don't know his name. I'll have to look it up later. Both of them sharded up naturally because, you know, Chance absolutely loves us this run. Nonetheless, I think we're fine and safe to take bottom here. So, what do we get rid of? We could play everything in our hand, but we're just, the extra draw we're going to get is going to be offset by what we put back. So I would like to play out everything I have. So let's pop the dead weight back. All right, let's get started. Wildington front, Shattered Shell front and center. Let's not be scrubby, because quick means the drag may not die. Let's play them up front so that we make absolutely sure we have room for the molten encasement. And we start scaling. One, two. We kick back a root seeds. How much money are you worth? 100? You're worth 1 turn of Ember Drain. And now we're safe. Whew, it's getting a little bit scary. We just got to keep scaling. 1, 2. Let's hold back a Wicklash. We may let some people go here, and we may just have to accept that. I think we're okay, though, with 95 from Shattered Shell and 50 from Wildington. Yeah, we're just fine. So I have 3 this turn. 1, 2, 3. Kicking back a root seeds. Now we're completely clearing bottom. 1, 2, 3. One, 2, 3. Kick back a root seeds. Heal up our carry. Worst case scenario here, our Endless will allow us to elevate our Shattered Shell somewhat. 1, 2, 3. Alright, now we press Y and find out. I suspect we're absolutely fine, and we are. No. And no. Okay. What do we got in the Horde? Too little too late, Firestone housing. So, I have concerns about floors getting by on Divinity if we're not able to scale fast enough. And I think Vapor Funnel is a good insurance policy against that. I foresee we might have 1 or 2 overstacked floors in the early part of the Divinity fight. So Vapor Funnel is a nice safe pick here. Peek in the trinket shop. Nothing here I'm dying to have. Removals are going to be a pair of dredges. Another free Wicklash. And another free Wicklash. With nothing left to spend our money on, let's invest in a couple dreg removals. That brings us down to a 20-card deck, more than a third of which is Wicklash. It's linear scaling, but it's very consistent linear scaling. And on that note, what am I duplicating? Honestly, probably freehold over Wicklash. Now remember, for Seraph here, we absolutely must keep Wildington above 0 damage, otherwise he will not root. Turn 1, the gang's all here. I want to go up top because I don't want 15 threes just flying by my pyre, flying into my pyre every single turn. So 1. Now we can play everything in hand. So for now we hold back the focused growth. I suspect that will be a common theme. Play the Molten Encasement first so that we don't deal with the burnout. Shattered Enforcer there. And Wildington here. For now, I'm going to start scaling our carry. Put the Steel Enhancer into Wildington. Thanks for the free kills there, Seraph. 1, 2, 3. Focus growth yet again. At this point, I am going to put every piece of non-burnout scaling I have into Wildington to keep him above 0. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Looks like we're kicking back focused growth again. No harvest triggers down here. It's a good space to die. My last dreg. I have enough to play every card in hand once again. One, two, three. Let's continue playing everything. And we're up to 352 already. One, two, three. Kick back a root seeds. Sorry for the silence here. It is brainless. It's just rinse and repeat, keeping your brain just active enough to ensure you don't scrub it up. A thought occurs to me. We've scaled quite well, but we're not killing many bosses here. We'll be relying extensively on root. Now, an alternative option maybe for the Divinity fight. We let Shattered Shell get whatever fusion-based scaling that he has between his rage and his slays. And since Wildington has multi-strike, maybe we simply pump all of our Wicklashes into him. It's an interesting thought. For now, I'm going to stick with the plan. If we die on the Divinity fight, I'll reset and I'll try that strategy. But let's for now keep this as mindless as possible. Oh boy, this hand. At this point, we're in no danger of Wildington hitting 0. And it's not like we can root Seraph anyway. Alright, let's go, Shattered Shell, aka John Wicklash. $63 stacks of stealth. You might want to get a snack, Seraph. It's going to be a bit. Okay, Let's get this somewhat crazy run in the can. Ooh, okay. I was really hoping to see Remnant here. We're going to take no less than 20 damage from Divinity sweeps. So I definitely want to have focus growth available next turn. I mean, which it will be. One, two, three. Yeah, I think focused growth is the thing to slide a hand here. All right, first attempt. We're going to stick with the original plan. Show me molten encasement. Ooh, boy, okay. We have hard choices to make now. I draw all 7 cards regardless of what I do. So that's fine. I will be kicking one back, so I want to play at least 1 root seeds. So 1, 2, 3. We kick back a Whiplash. Okay. Wildington will not survive a 3rd sweep, so he gets the first heal. We have spikes coming up. Thank God for small favors. RNG on this one has been rough. Hello, Molten Encasement. Thank you for finally showing up to the party. Oh, I forgot to account for the Ember Drain on that one. That's why I couldn't play out all my Wick Seeds. 1, 2. Okay, we kick back a Root Seeds. All right. From this point forward, we are going to take another 10 from Divinity, and then he is not going to touch us again. And then every chance I get to increase Shattered Shell's HP, we take. There's going to be a lot of incanting done here. Not much we can do about it, but we need the damage. Let's see. Worst case scenario. 3 units live. 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll kill off at least these 2 and probably the remainder. I think we're fine. Let's start scaling. And can't be damned, we have scaling to do. What's your trigger there? Extinguish, okay. Wait, here's a harvest. What's going on here? I'm gonna kill you and you're not gonna touch me, I don't care. And we are down to 8 on a spike wave. This is hairy. We got the focus growth though, so fortune smiles. 1, 2, 3. We hold back our root seeds. This so much closer than it had any right to be. 1, 2, 3. I do not want Scourges clogging up my deck. I think we're killing everything on this floor, so I'm not going to worry about overstacks yet. No hasty boys in play. And we have our first mini-boss. That one's going to be a little bit rough, no doubts there. One, 2, 3. Oh, no, I miscalculated. I want to play that. We have spikes incoming. I want to keep playing my focus growth. So R3 is 1, 2, 3. That might have been a bad call. Are we going to lose Wildington here? Oh no, we're not, because we have stealth. He's not taking a swing. No, we're fine. So let's count. 1, 2, 3. Kick back root seeds. I'm actually sweating here. That I this is the last thing I expected out of this run. That's Covenant 25 for you, though. They do not mess around. All right, we can't play everything, so we'll kick back root seeds. Yeah, we're kind of past Enchanting Armor at this point, my dude. One, 2, 3. I want to play everything in hand. Get Wildington just a little bit more health. He's been running on fumes there. How many is on that floor? Alright. Thought we might be overstacking, but at this point, I really do not care about the weights of contrition. 1, 2, 3. I do want to play everything in my hand, so we'll pop back a weight of contrition. We'll ruin our perfect pyre health run. We should be more than fine here, though, with the original plan. Oh, I have enough money to play the contrition anyway. We get to keep our perfect pyre health run. Press the Y button, and let's bring this show to an end. Whew. Thank you for joining me on what was an unexpectedly interesting episode of Easy Expert Challenges. I hope you were entertained. I hope you learned something, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye for now.